We're dangerously derailed.
And I fucking hate Captain America.
Give me the links! Give me the links! Yeah, we're doing the Avengers next, and I imagine it's just going to be a big circle jerk. What the fuck is wrong with us? Hail Hydra!
Thor, directed by Kenneth Branagh.
Is that what we're here to talk about? 50 minutes in. Hello, how the fuck is everybody doing? Ah, damn it. I got the F word out just like the first sentence in. I can't help myself. I have too much fun going over these movies. This is Jabril or Brill from the Infinity Warmup podcast. Trey, how you doing?
We're mad scientists, bro.
We are monsters.
We can't help but build this technology that'll destroy the world. How you doing? I'm
doing
did
good.
You see?
Yeah.
Did you see Black Panther? I finally got to see it. I waited a week to avoid getting mass shot up.
How was it? Well, okay. How was seeing it first, not the movie?
My theater was only about half full. I know the movie's doing great, but where I am in Portland is pretty white. So I imagine they've had their fill of the hype. Everybody got to see it opening weekend, so it was nice. On the film itself, I just thought it was all right. I didn't think it was groundbreaking. And anyway,
right? A little bit overhyped.
Yeah, and that might be my fault. I thoroughly inundated myself with spoilers and read into all kinds of production reviews prior to seeing it.
I thought you meant like as the world. Like, no, that was my fault. I overhyped the movie and just fuck, dude, it blew up. Social media. I'm sorry.
It's a good movie. It's solid. It's well structured. But the hyperbole that people are using to describe this movie is groundbreaking, a social political entity unto itself. Like the world should be divided into before Black Panther and after Black Panther. I don't see any of that. I will say that minor spoilers for Black Panther, Killmonger's end line, one of his last things he says, like, about it's better to be like the people who jumped off the slave ships into the water than to live in bondage. I've never felt as uncomfortable in a theater than like maybe Austin Powers 3, when I'm like, oh, this is a really bad movie and we have to walk out of it. But that, yeah, like that was uncomfortable for everyone in the room. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but I didn't think that Disney would take that road.
You think that was just his character, and they just let him go on about how he felt about slavery? And
well, the movie itself has a lot of tinges of colonization. It's the entire character of Michael B. Jordan, kid from Oakland believing in fairy tales.
Wait, was he that guy who played Human Torch in that last movie?
Yes. And
Marvel's
he's also
doing it again.
He's also worked with Ryan Coogler before. Yeah. And I think all three of his movies that he's made prior to Black Panther, Fruitvale Station, Creed, and maybe just those two.
Well, the thing about this movie, and I don't know if this is the one thing, but one thing about this movie is, like, people keep bringing up these random side pieces of evidence or just things about the movie that have nothing to do with like what's on screen. Like, yeah, a lot of these characters are related, like in real life. I'm just like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
I know there was that thing with
like, oh, well, that's why they looked so much alike. I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. So was his son an actor beforehand, or is like Forrest Whitaker? Like, I was told that the guy who played his son was his son. I was just like, oh, that's why he inherited the eye problem too, huh?
That's actually not his son. His last name is just Whitaker, and he has an eye thing. It's entirely random. I know.
Yeah, you know what? No. You know who told me
no
this?
Relation.
You know who told
He's
me that
also
part?
played his son in another movie.
That was Mike from another podcast. He's trying to show up on a podcast about this movie. So that's interesting. But I mean, there's other. Okay, so some people that I read are related. Are what? King T'Chaka, right? The one, the young and the old version. Those two are father and son.
In real life, no.
Yeah.
Really?
I read this online. It's got to be true.
But I'm gonna say no on that one. At the risk of having to scroll through IMDb's, I genuinely don't think they're related.
They do look alike. Yeah, they both have that fat, like, head. They both like their head's way bigger than T'Challa's. Like, that's weird. And first of all, like, okay, can we talk about T'Challa for a second? Does he have to talk like this? Is there anything in the Black Panthers like this is how he's supposed to talk and this character's doing it really well? Does he talk like that, or is that just what Bostwick or whatever his name is? Is that what he thinks? Boseman. Is that what he thinks African?
I mean,
like?
Everybody adopted like a pseudo-African accent, and a lot of people took
Forrest
time
Whitaker
to.
Can't pull off an accent. Damn him for trying. God damn it, that was the worst. Something about that dude's. I don't want to. We're not doing the whole movie now.
No,
breakdown definitely later, but fuck his whole character.
Really, I liked that.
What do you mean? He was the only guy who knew that T'Chaka's brother had a son. The only guy who knew, and he didn't say shit.
No, I mean, honestly, do you think things like that are going to catch up with you? You know?
No, of course not. Of course not. This kid was like 9 years old. He knew he had the brand, and all this guy had in America was his wife, or woman, who was nowhere to be found, and his son. Who do you think he told everything to?
Yeah, no one really.
No one gives a fuck. It's like they told that story to fuck with you.
You can't really expect that guy to go through military training, kill a bunch of people, and harbor a vengeance that is eventually going to topple your country.
So if there's any form of bloodline that's special to the kings or princes of the country, these guys have eaten from the plants. I'm just saying. Now there's a supernatural being out there, or at least half of one.
Forrest Whitaker started to make a compelling argument of what's his name, Mboku? Whatever.
No, that's the thing is, I thought his name was Shuri or something, and then I heard that was what's his name, sister's name, and then I stopped caring. I don't know anyone's name anymore.
Yeah, well,
the only reason I know Claw is because it sounds like Claw, and because he showed up in other Marvel movies, like this movie, Avengers: Age of Ultron.
And as far as like ironic names go, like I think they didn't actually use the pincer thing that he has in the comic books. He just has a hand that folds down into an awesome little sound gun. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they didn't actually give him the claw like he was supposed to have. But yeah, Forrest Whitaker's character said to T'Challa, I promised the king that it was going to stay between me and him. And that's when Boseman's like, I'm your king now. You tell me.
It's a good point.
Like, all right, you got me. So what had happened was,
well, now the second time I saw the movie is when I liked it more, but that's because I started reading other things online about it. Like there's little tie-ins here and there to the actual comic, which I've never read before, that are like, well, they're actually pulling this story together. Even though I watch in this movie as an idiot, I feel like there's no tie-in to Marvel at all. There's no, like, until the last after credit scene, like, there's nothing, nobody ever. It's just like, we were just hiding this whole time. And all the things that we do don't affect the world. What about the aliens when they came to invade? Like, you guys were just hiding?
Yeah. And that's largely, that's largely the run of what they are in the comics, though.
That part about White
Wolf. They're
an
isolationist country.
Like, at the end, like, I read a little bit about him, and I guess he's supposed to be this character who's really good friends, I guess, with Black Panther, who trains with him, and they're kind of like they're partners in a sense.
Yeah, he was unadopted, like he staggered into Wakanda somehow, and he was taken in and eventually betrayed them, I believe. Yeah,
that makes if they're using this character, that would make a lot of sense.
I really feel like they're grooming Bucky for the Captain America role, even with the color scheme that they had on him at the end of Wakanda when he was in blue and red.
I would agree.
And the big pasty white guy, so red, white,
He's
and blue.
Not big.
Yeah. Shit. Some stats on it though.
Well, but like the Rhino the rhinos, like those are actual, like those are in the comic, like these whatever enhanced rhinos or something. It's not something that they just threw in the movie just to be like, hey, look what we can do. Like these are characters from Black Panther, and I was like, okay. Even if I hate the movie, if I find out that they just dragged everything from the comic, like, okay, I agree. Good job.
Yeah, it was a very rich world that they built for the film. One of the things I like most about the movie was like the Game of Thrones political intrigue portion of it. Like I was kind of out on the fighting. I thought the CGI models were a little lazy, poorly constructed, and then to me the best part of the film was watching all five tribes come to terms with this new guy taken over, and just the general interaction. Like Wakanda was fucking beautiful. I like the graffiti everywhere.
Wait, all
the fucking
five?
Flying trains and
Were
all
there
that shit.
6 in total or 5?
Or 6? I don't know. There was a bunch.
That one that they helped at the end, he clearly didn't agree, right?
Which one?
I don't remember what they were called. The one that had T'Challa up in the snow.
Oh yeah, M'Baku's tribe. He's a man ape in the comic books, and I like how they made his character.
I like his fucking mask. That like made him look so much more scary. And then when he took it off, I was just like, I thought you were ape to begin with, dog.
Yeah, no, he's an inherently racist character that they made super cool. There were a lot of like zoom in shots on like a throne room that I thought were incredible, but yeah,
it was kind of heavily focused. You know what? Before the movie, my girl and I were talking, and she was like, "Do you think they're gonna do what they did with Thor and Star Wars now, where they're just gonna keep putting all these stupid, goofy moments in there?" And I was like, "No, I can't find, I can't see there being a lot of room for it." But I was like, "They're gonna throw them in there. It's going to happen." One of my least favorite was the "What are those?"
What do you mean? What are the? Oh, the shoes.
What are those?
That was my favorite gag.
I hate
you. Didn't like that?
Oh. Not into that shit.
I have something against black people's feet, so whenever you have to point out that somebody's wearing sandals, yeah, no, give him some shoes. don't let him just come up in your lab exposing his toes. That's all.
God damn it, though. That girl's tech, though, right?
I think she's better than Tony Stark. Yeah.
That's what. Yeah, that's what my girl was telling me. She said she read something online that was telling her that she's like smarter than him too. She was really proud of it too, and I think because she likes to hate on Tony, and I look at her and I'm just like, look, this is fun for you. I don't know why. Oh, she's smarter than Tony, and I'm just like, I know that Tony's not the smartest guy out there. He's just, look what he's doing. If he lived in Africa, he'd have vibranium too, but it's like he doesn't, and so he does the best with what he can do, and he's the leader of the Avengers.
Yeah, I saw that meme.
And I know he's not as far as the list of who's the hierarchy and the most intelligent superhero in the universe. I know it's not Tony. He's on the team. His name is Bruce. So I'm just like, I know it's okay. I'm like, all right, fine. Like she's funny. I liked her. She was cool.
No, she was pretty legit. In fact, all the women were. I think they held up the film and kind of overshadowed Chadwick Boseman's performance, who played like a very solemn sort of character dealing with the weight of the world and the decisions he had to make. So it was really kind of up to the girls, Lupita Nyong'o, Okoye, Shuri, and Nokia, the first telephone. They were all pretty badass and generally just gorgeous. It's just all the eye candy on the screen. It's pretty legit.
I thought, without going too deep into this, I talked to someone else from work, and he was telling me something about the character, one of the 3 white people in the movie. Okay, so there was Claw, Stan Lee, and this person.
Martin Freeman, Bilbo Baggins.
Okay. He was saying that he is. There's a connection between him and Captain Marvel.
Really?
Like he's going to be in that movie. I guess it's going to take place during the 80s, and I guess I don't know. Like how there's a history between the 2 Avengers. What's their name? Clint Barton and what's her name? Black Widow.
Yeah.
It's going to be like that. Like he's going to have a bigger role then. And this is where you find out about why he's a pilot. He's just a really good pilot.
Yeah, I read some production stuff about how Captain Marvel is going to be set in the 90s and hang 90s? Around mostly Nick Fury's. Maybe just flashback sequences, but yeah, I don't know too much about that. But hard numbers. So I love hating on DC. So in the 91 days that Justice League was in theater, it grossed $228 million.
Damn.
In 4 days, Black Panther grossed $218 million.
God damn.
Right? This film is doing way better than anybody ever projected. Shit is bananas. It's already past the Avengers. It's not even going to come close to catching up to The Force Awakens, but nothing ever will.
What was that at?
Like 490 million domestic.
Nothing ever will. I don't know, man. You got the Infinity War coming up. We're warming up the Infinity War. Okay,
Maybe.
how much more do you want to talk about this movie? I think I thought people were overestimating Killmonger as like the best character, but I guess
you didn't think it was the best villain. I mean, he didn't really have.
I feel like there's not a lot of competition, right? Even though there's a lot of movies, that doesn't mean there's been a lot of good villains. But I think, I guess if you go back
better than
to
Loki and Hela,
Powers,
not even Powers.
People are underestimating Loki as a villain. Honestly, I don't get it. It's like he has a similar story. It's somewhat similar. He was, let's go over it real quick. He was stolen from his home planet, of which where his father still lives and breathes.
Yeah, there's a lot of regicide.
Forced to grow up in another kingdom, of which where he's told he can be king, even though he'll never be king because there's no birthright. So he has to just stay in place and know his role for the rest of his life.
King, yeah.
Fuck that, dude. That's a fucked up story. I don't want to hear about this. They killed my dad shit. Right?
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, those stories are a little similar. And when you remove Powers from the equation, I guess you're left to talk about how dynamic a villain is. And I see a lot of comparisons to the Joker in regards to Killmonger, but it's not that because you get to
watch the world burn.
I'm sorry.
Well, because I read something about that too, and I try to understand what people are thinking when they have these thoughts. And the only thing I could come up with was
screen.
The only thing I came up was he's not trying to do this for money.
Yeah.
There's actual meaning behind it, and it's not just global destruction, even though it seems like global destruction.
He kind of his plan was to arm the ghetto with future weapons, which is inherently horrifying. Like I don't
everybody.
Want
It's all two at once. It's like, you remember when Dave Chappelle had that episode of Chappelle's Show where they paid reparation to all the black people, and just look how the economy just nerfed itself.
Right, you're giving fucking Migos.
That was dangerous.
Fucking
KFC.
JK.
KFC had part ownership of America or whatever it was. KFC and Fubu joined forces.
All that.
Insane. But,
so yeah, he had to be stopped. He had to take him down. But
okay, real quick. Okay, so clearly in that movie, he's better in one-on-one combat than T'Challa, right?
That would be his Marine training, yeah.
God damn it! Even though this dude was raised in Africa by Wakandans, but that seemed kind of weird. But okay, fine.
That's got nothing on the American military, yo.
Yeah,
we're
I
just
guess.
too good at.
I don't know, but everything else is more advanced than Wakanda. You think their fighting style would be? I don't know. I'm just making thoughts here.
Made it to the States.
I'm thinking. Okay. I just think. Okay, so someone who was trained in MIT versus a Spartan. I don't know. I thought that's what Wakandans are, right? Just pick any one of the 300 Spartans. Who should win the fight, right?
I mean, he had the power of the Black Panther stripped from him.
Yeah, okay.
At the time, so he was just a regular dude.
So they were both regular dudes, and he lost the fight. And then later they both each had a piece of the fruit and fought again, and then Black Panther won.
Yeah, on a trick. And he said, "Nice move, brah," with like a knife in his heart. Yeah.
How come I didn't think of that?
Spoilers. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
People, don't listen to this entire 30 minutes.
But that was probably the most part that I didn't like about this. The whole, and gives you the power, and we only give it to one bloodline.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's
nope.
It's the king.
Not at all. And instead of arming the nation, let's just arm the king.
Oh, so you're on Killmonger's side with this one? The Killmonger and M'Baku's tribe, sort of.
I said arming the nation, not the world.
Well, okay, all right. M'Baku's tribe's argument is that, yeah, you're not sharing this with, I guess, the rest of Africa, or maybe it's just the rest of Wakanda.
Wait, who are we talking about now?
Manape, I'm talking. You be quiet.
What's his standpoint?
I wanted to understand more why his tribe was isolated from the west of Wakanda while still being in Wakanda.
I thought he didn't like that family's bloodline, and he tried to fight him in one-on-one combat, and he lost, and he just had to kind of deal with that. I don't really know. I thought the whole reason of his character was to help him out in the end, I suppose, to be support. That's
that's how they rolled in Gandalf the Grey style to save Helm's Deep. Yeah.
But I don't know. Moving on. Pretty good movie. I feel like it's getting it's like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, something insane like that. Whatever. We're spending way too much time.
It's doing really well, and I'm trying to figure out what my hang up with it is. I think they repeated a lot of the same motifs, like the journey into the ancestral plane. They did that at least 3 times in the movie, and every time it has to come with the ceremonial drinking of the grape Fanta, and then you got to bury the body, and then you got to visit the ancient lands. And in the comic books, you actually talk to the Panther. They do that
every time that he becomes the Panther. That's when the ceremony has to happen.
Well, no, every time. Okay, yeah. Every time he becomes the Black Panther. Yeah.
So, I mean, it happened a lot in the movie, but it's not supposed to happen in general because it's only for when we get a new Panther. The only reason he doesn't just take that First of all, who came up with the anti-Panther potion? What's the point of that? What?
So
I get it that they do it for combat, but who was like, no, we need... Okay, your first move as after you guys found out about this plant that turns you into super Panther powers, first move is someone's like, we need to neuralize this person just in case they get a little out of control.
Well, luckily they burned all that down. Spoilers for Black Panther. But
it's totally Batman's move in the Justice League. He's like, yeah, I trust you, but I have to have a backup plan. It's like, God damn, I guess you don't trust me.
Fair enough. But my point is they revisit that at least 3 different times in the movie, and I understand that it's good for flashback sequences and expositing on the characters and letting them talk to their fathers or just glean information pertinent to the movie. But I felt like they did it so many times it detracted from all the time you could spend in Wakanda and learning about Killmonger's new regime that he's setting up. Because like I said, I appreciate the Game of Thrones aspect, and when the king gets toppled and you have to set up a new thing, like Killmonger was on his plan right away. Like he became king and just started loading weapons into ships. Like his first move, just strangling people who disagreed with him.
Yeah.
I would like to see way more of what the Dora Milaje thinks about this.
Oh, I know I think I know what it is. You can't have the bad guy in charge for the majority of the movie. That would you could do so much harm to undo that and have the good guys win at the end. It's going to cost you another 2 hours of screenplay.
Right, but you did it anyway,
Yeah, but I mean, only for a few minutes. It was after that, it's okay, as soon as that happened, he got on his plan, but then, I don't know any of the names of these people. T'Challa's girlfriend, his sister, and his mom all took off and were okay, immediately, we have to overthrow this king. The only person who didn't go was that one girl from Michonne, who was just, whatever. She's dedicated to the throne, right?
Okoye, the Dora Milaje leader, yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. There's plenty to pick apart about the movie, but I mean, it was entertaining, and there was a lot of information they gave you. It was a pretty good origin story. I think it's weird how he was the Black Panther while his dad was alive, right?
Yeah, his dad got too old for the role, so he passed it down to his son while maintaining the throne in Wakanda.
And then he had to fight for the throne, but it's but he was... So their bloodline has the tie to the Black Panther, and then whoever gets to become the king gets to be the new Black Panther? Yeah. It's so Lion King, dude. This shit, I don't care about this shit anymore. It's once I agreed to the fact that, all right, well, that's the king and he's in charge, I'm well, this is fucking stupid. No wonder no one likes him. No wonder everyone's just trying to overthrow this guy.
Well, no, he's a good king, I believe, is what you're led to. I mean, nobody else challenged him except the Man-Ape tribe, M'Baku's group.
But I wonder though, is it? How was the story originated? Like, is it just that one tribe doesn't like what they're up to, or one tribe is like they're all within the same strength and skill level as the king, and they think that they should be in charge, and that's just why they're like, "Fuck it, we'll be the outsiders."
Yeah, it was my impression that
That's
they were
why no one challenged them.
ostracized
They're all
from.
women and children.
Yeah. I felt like Wakanda was well populated, and until that end fight scene on the Pride Lands, when there's only like 30 of you guys here. This should be a much bigger war.
Was Wakanda just heavily filled with waterfalls?
Yeah,
for Africa, like, come on, man! I thought there was a drought. Drain all the water for the fight.
Yeah, we didn't
get the
get
water
to see.
to come back. How does any of that work?
They scaled. Yeah, they don't. It's a 2-hour movie. You can't explain everything. That's why everything should be a miniseries. But oh well, it does make me excited for Black Panther 2. And all in all, it was a good movie. It just, I'm struggling to understand why it was as groundbreaking as it is. And granted, if you
involved
take the
undoing slavery, well, not but paying reparation in a way that was a comic booky way to like appease people's like I don't know, that voice in the back of their mind without actually doing anything, because this is all make believe, and there is no vibranium, and we're not going to share anything, and black people have it still the way black people have it.
Yeah, that's kind of my beef with Disney, like capitalizing on a social movement, because it's very it's just, I don't know if I'm fine with it coming from Disney. Like, it's a very sort of fight the power kind of, like, I thought it was awesome that it opened up in Oakland and all that, but it just feels weird coming from Walt Disney. I
can only say so much without sounding like the most racist person on this podcast. We both know that's you.
I know.
You want to move on over to our favorite movie of the podcast right now?
Fuck, I'm just not ready.
Age of Ultron. Are you guys ready? Because you know what? The amount of times I've seen this movie, there's still this big like speed bump I have to get over with comprehension of what the fuck is going on. But I like this movie.
Ugh, that's gross, dude. Let me
to say that.
Probably, but let's take a break and then we'll hop into how we feel about Avengers Age of Ultron. All right, we're back.
Hold on. No.
Avengers Age of Ultron. I learned before the break that you like this movie. Ew.
Well, there's honestly, things I could defend my point, dog.
As much as I thought it was, as much as I thought I did. Most of my problem with it comes in like this weird, I guess, fan fiction-y territory of trying to figure out what to do with the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Like, they're the biggest problems of the film to me. Can you state your case for why you enjoy this film?
Yeah, dude. I mean, the movie starts out where they're in an action like sequence in Sokovia, attacking this guy who was literally the last guy they talked about fighting in what movie?
Winter Soldier. Yeah.
Winter Soldier. Okay. So yeah, they're going to Strucker like immediately. There's no talk about it. Let's make a plan or anything. They're all there. And I feel like there's two things that says. One is like, hey, fuck it, we're already here, and here's the action. We're already here with it. This is going to be a long movie. Let's start off swinging. And it also says that this is not going to be a very big mission. I mean, even though like the overall idea of what they were doing in the movie lasted a long time with the whole Ultron thing, but that mission was very short. And it showed you what it needed to show you, like the two twins that don't really know how to use their powers, and I still feel like they're not all that well at the end of the movie. But overall, this movie even has parts where there's like the filler moments where there's like where Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, and like Bruce are having their little chatty flirt thing going on where they're like talking at the bar.
All of that.
I never like it, but that has to happen. You have to see them. I don't know if it happens in the comics, but in the cartoons, it always did. Where there's a scene of like them just kind of chillaxing for a little bit before the next fight happens.
Yeah, I trust Joss Whedon to do banter. He's very good at writing characters.
His name is Hoss?
Joss Hoss. What do you call him, Joe?
I was like, defend your case calling him Hoss. Isn't it? Is it Josh with an H?
It's Joss. Nobody.
I didn't know. I thought
he just kind of breathed it out.
Okay. I thought it was Josh Whedon. My bad. I was going to say that's not Spanish.
Either way, he's really good at writing dialogue and all the character banner that we enjoyed from the Avengers. This is his second time directing a Marvel movie, and his last time directing it because this broke him. This literally made him quit movies for a while.
Well, it was complicated. Definitely a lot was, but it's an Avengers movie, man. You know, it's not just an Iron Man movie where it's like, okay, all the action's happening wherever Iron Man is, wherever he's going. It's like, how many times did Thor just take off in this movie?
At least twice, yeah. I mean, I understand your argument, but they did it so well in the first movie that they tried to go ham and introduce at least 4 new characters without realizing what made the first film great. And I kind of foresee us kind of hopping all over the place. So I'm going to read this summary just to catch everybody up on the gist of this film. So after finding an Infinity Stone in Loki's scepter, the Mind Stone, Tony Stark and Bruce Banner use it to create Ultron, which is a peacekeeping program. And he, or Ultron, soon discovers that what's wrong with the world is humans, and he decides to end all life on Earth with the help of Wanda and Pietro Maximoff. Although I don't even think they are called the Maximoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a problem. Experimented human beings turned allies. The Avengers search for Ultron, who's trying to create a synthetic, or trying to acquire the synthetic suit that Helen Cho makes, the Vision, later, and destroy the world is the plot of this movie.
Can we go back a second? So what? This is the hardest pill I have to swallow with this movie. What the fuck happened between this is what we found over there? So he showed Bruce, like, okay, this is Jarvis. Bruce knew what it was when he'd seen Jarvis in that form, whatever that means before, where he looked like a big old orange globe. Mm-hmm. And then he goes, look at the competition. Okay, so that is a computer, that is artificial intelligence itself, right? And that's somehow
so what you're
different
talking
than
about
Jarvis?
is after they've raided Sokovia, got the scepter back, we're in the 3 days of Revel territory, where Tony Stark and Bruce Banner have 3 days to analyze what this scepter is so that they can I don't think initially they wanted to use it for the Ultron program. It's just once they see what this Mind Stone is capable of, then they decide that, oh cool, we can shoot for AI. And that's what
power, because that's what he ended up doing, right? Strucker, like they made a point in saying that like he couldn't conduct this force, or no, goddamn it, these weapons. Like they were saying that came from the stone. His army in general came from the stone. This thing is powerful as fuck.
Yeah, the reason they were so technologically advanced is that they got otherworldly help from the Mind Stone inside of Loki's scepter. So they get it back to the lab, they're going over it, and they pull up a side-by-side of what Jarvis's brain, or the schematics of Jarvis's setup, and compare it next to the Mind Stone, essentially, the scepter. And Bruce Banner points out to Tony, oh, look, it looks like neurons firing. It's not exactly a human mind, but I think we can use it for artificial intelligence. And they work diligently towards that end.
So they were going to put the Mind Stone in charge of, like, the world's safety?
Yes. So Tony Stark wants to create the Ultron program, which is, he envisions a suit of armor around the entire world. You know?
Is that somehow different than the Iron Legion program, or are they just the tech that saves everybody and tells them to evacuate?
Yeah, Tony Stark controls the Iron Legion. What he's trying to do with Ultron is create an artificial intelligence safety net to automate the saving of the entire world, so that the Avengers are no longer necessary.
Okay.
Because he's been to space and feels like an alien army is going to invade, and he wants to be super duper ready for it.
Okay. That kind of swings him in the direction of Nick Fury, where in the not Civil War, the one before that, the other
Winter Soldier.
Yeah, the Winter Soldier, where Cap's getting on him, just like, why do you need all this shit? Why is all this down here? He's just like, yeah, man, I'm tired of being last to know that we're at war. I'm going to be first to know next time. We're going to wage the war.
Yeah, and Bruce kind of raises the same argument that Nick Fury raised to, or that Captain America raised to Nick Fury of, Bruce tells Tony Tony says, I envision a suit of armor around the whole world, and Bruce says that's a cold world, whereas Nick Fury's, or Captain America says to Nick Fury that you can't just hold a gun to everyone's head and call it peace, kind of thing, yeah. So there are parallels there, and you can kind of see it setting up the dynamics to Civil War, because Cap and Iron Man are at each other.
Everything that happened in Sokovia. Like, literally, like, to jump ahead real quick to the fight scene with fucking, what's her name? Veronica and Bruce, or the Hulk, yeah. God damn it. How is your backup move to grab the Hulk and fly away with him? Like, it's... I don't know, man. It's got to be drugs. You gotta knock him out a different way. It's all they know about the Hulk is that you hit him and he gets strong. It's like, I'm gonna hit you even harder. Okay.
Which makes me wonder why that one punch ended the fight, but that's an aside.
Well, yeah.
All
okay.
right. So let me. I guess
up to this point, they've already showed a little bit, of character. What I liked about the beginning scene is they showed that we don't need to go over these characters learning how to fight together. They already know how. You're
meant to understand that quite a bit of time has passed since they've gotten together for the Avengers. Probably canonically 3 years or so. So you get to see him.
Definitely good. I mean, when they came up with that part where I like that line. What's his name? God damn it! What does he say? Thor's like, looks like they're lining up. It's like you guys, like, obviously they've planned this before. I wonder if that's the line that they both use every time that happens. Looks like they're lining up. Well, they must be excited.
Yeah, it's the quintessential fastball special.
Yeah, there you go.
They know how to work together. But yeah, they've been busting up Hydra bases, and this is the last one. And it introduces you to the twins that were spoiled in the Winter Soldier.
Wasn't it before that? When we first see them, was it before that movie?
No, Winter Soldier was the only time we got to see him prior to this.
Oh, that's okay. With Strucker, okay.
Now, these two people, and this is my big beef with the movie, is the licensing and contract arguments between Fox and Disney, and the dick measuring contest that they're having and introducing specifically the Quicksilver character into both the worlds. And I read something with Joss Whedon that the reason why he has Wanda and Pietro in this movie is that he kind of wanted to mix up the power profile of the characters. He felt like the current Avengers were too punchy and kicky, so he wanted to add the dynamic of super speed and Wanda's whatever the fuck she's doing throughout this entire movie.
They try to explain it like 2 times. It's
not like really. They give it lip service.
Well, no, they literally tell you, like, okay, I mean, like, not clear detail. They said mental manipulation.
He's fast and she's weird.
Well, the way they describe him is stupid. She's just said, like, he has, like, hyper fucking homeostasis and he can digest fast. I think those were the 2 lines she'd said, and then she was like, he's fast, and it's like, oh, you could have said that. Because one of my gripes about the movie is it seems like he's not great about being fast. He's kind of like it's not even the part where he grabbed Thor's hammer and fucked up. That part makes sense. I kind of would have tried that too. But it's just like he took too many bullets this movie for being a guy who's faster than the speed of sound. Like, it's like you got to be hyper aware of this kind of shit. But the thing is like her powers are like, I'd say she has about 4 to 5 different powers. I don't even know what 2 of them are. It makes sense that she's a novice at every single one of them. You know what I'm saying? It's like she's trying to work out her whole body and the Quicksilver's just working out his legs. Look at those legs. They're super ripped, and she doesn't even have abs. That's all I'm saying. Or they should be super ripped. He's a slacker, and she has too many powers to be good at any of them.
Well, even in the comic books, her powers are hard to define, you know?
But doesn't she go through... I mean, in the comic, if you follow it all the way up until this point, she's gone through rigorous training. Like, in this movie, these two characters, we only know that they've been fucking off like Toka and Razor while they're not being used in captivity. They haven't joined the X-Men where Professor Xavier is going to show you how to show that dick to the rest of the world what you can do. And don't defy me because I'll get in your head.
From what I understand about the origins of these two in this movie is that they weren't born with these powers. They're not mutants. Marvel, the MCU, is not allowed to say the word mutants. So they've been experimented on and given these sort of powers. They don't really explain how. In fact, they were going to, by tying these characters into Inhumans, but Inhumans has since fallen through for the MCU. So these two Quicksilver's dead, but Wanda's in like a bit of a limbo.
Spoiler.
Fuck that guy. He was the worst.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, Wanda is in a bit of a character explanation limbo because you can't say that she's the daughter of Magneto. You can't call her a mutant. You were going to call her an Inhuman, but you've canceled the Inhuman series. So every time she's on screen, in addition to Civil War, it just pisses me off. And it's gotten a little bit better because they're acknowledging that she's this Omega level threat and just this incredibly nebulously powerful individual, but you know, they don't know what to do with her yet. And I imagine the reason why I'm not completely out on the character is because I know some of the character beats they can do with her to make her integral to any kind of future story that they're going to tell. So her potential to be used in this like, oh, that's awesome kind of way is the only thing that really keeps me in on this character. But otherwise, I just think this is a huge squandered opportunity, a drop ball, a misstep, a general fuck up on behalf of the
You think
MCU.
she would just be a villain? You know, it's kind of like when Phoenix shows up. It's like this character's too powerful to show up on screen for a long time. So we're just gonna have her turn into the bad guy. She's uncontrollable. She's like Hulk status. Like she's making the world or possessing a threat to the world. So we just have to kind of take her out. She doesn't know what she's doing. You know what I'm saying? Like seems like she's on that level where it would make sense if they just nerfed her one movie and was like, oh, hey, look who the bad guy is now.
She starts out as a bad guy in the comics and also in this movie. And let's take a stab at defining what her powers are. She has the ability to manipulate probability. She creates hex bubbles, I guess, a field of probability manipulation that affects things around her to an extent to which she controls. So if somebody's running at her, trying to punch her in the face, she can materialize a brick wall in front of them. If somebody shoots a gun at her, she can turn the bullets into fig Newtons in the air. Like she has the ability to alter what should happen.
What's going to happen?
Yeah. And
that's fucking insane. And I'm back on my high horse now for this quick moment. Why are all the women just broken when it comes to mutants? Like, it is so unfair. Like, I'm not saying I wouldn't be a mutant. Like, I mean, if I had the chance, because that'd be cool. My power might be really cool. But like, the girl that I go to school with is just going to be a badass. I'm telling you, dude. Look at the X-Men. Break it down. Rogue, Storm, and Jean Grey. I think I rest my case.
For every
add
one
Scarlet
of those.
Witch to the bunch. Dude, think about it. Like, I would love to be Quicksilver, but I'd be really mad if my sister was the Scarlet fucking Witch. And if I had another sister in a different universe and her name was Polaris. Fuck that, dude. Are you serious? Be like, Dad, what the fuck, man? How come I'm not the Flash? How come they got all the good powers?
I mean, for every one of those, there's a Jubilee who just can shoot fireworks from her fingertips, you know?
How many other shitty
the luck of the draw
are there than Jubilee?
There's a handful. There's quite a few.
Go ahead.
A bit. There's Penance, who just has diamond hard skin, which, yeah, it'll scratch her pretty good, but she can't touch anything.
Wait, isn't that like Emma Frost, right?
Well, no, she's a telepath.
Okay, but doesn't she also have the diamond?
Broken,
Another,
you know.
and when she's not a telepath, she's in diamond form.
What is there? There's a Moonstar or Danny something or the other who just can make you be afraid of your worst fear and turn that into like a physical object.
And then there's Shadowcat, the girl who can just phase through anything.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of just regular old cat people in Mutant Land. Yeah.
Most of the women are fucking broken, dude. That's not fair. Okay, what about Psylocke? I don't know much about her, but isn't she a telepath too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, telepath / telekinetic, and they constantly are inverting how much of which she has. So I guess currently right now she's mostly just a telekinetic, but like a low level one. She uses it to materialize that little pink knife that you see that she has.
Oh, okay. So she's reduced to that. Okay. Yeah. So I'm not saying there aren't some dudes that aren't broken as hell. Just feel like it's more on the women's side. Go ahead and proceed, Scarlet Witch, as you alter everything around you.
Well, I think that and you watch more of the X-Men movies than I do, but I think they did Quicksilver a huge disservice in their X-Men movies by just making him the most broken mutant on the planet.
Well, the thing is, like, think about what else do you do with that character? Like, now I'm starting to think, like, why they just killed him off in this movie, because the
MCU version is closer to what Quicksilver actually is. You know?
Really?
He's just super fast. He's not.
What does super fast entail?
I don't think he should be able to outrun bullets the way he does in the X-Men movies.
Interesting.
In the X-Men movies,
I like it, but yeah, you have to stop. That's my point.
Different.
That's my point. Is he takes up too much of like, okay, this guy's activating his power. It's like, I don't know how relevant this is, but there was an episode of Dragon Ball Z, a few of them actually. Do you remember the Ginyu Force back on Planet Namek?
Yeah.
There was one character who could stop time by holding his breath.
Oh yeah.
And it was this short little green frog looking character, and it was like, and he was being chased down. He would just hold his breath and run, but holding your breath and run only gets you so far. So it was like they had to nerf his power. Because you can't just stop time. Like, you hold your breath and you walk 3 steps and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, they Joss Whedon specifically had trouble because the X-Men movie, I guess Age of Apocalypse, came out before this one. So illustrating Pietro or Quicksilver's power on the screen was made incredibly difficult for him by the X-Men movie coming out prior to this. So they had to come up with a different effect for how they would illustrate super speed. But I find the character of speedsters in general in the comic books and pretty much every adaptation of media to have the same personality quirks.
Yeah, they're all too cocky and just clumsy. Like
yeah, borderline autistic characters. It's strange. Yeah. It's strange that inherently comes with super speed.
Shouldn't you have a short temper if you had super speed? Like the way they describe, I don't know if Quicksilver's the same, but it would make sense. Like my biggest problem with using the character at all, even in the movie or the cartoons, is I don't know if it's their cockiness that just overwhelms them, but it's like, yo, are you not aware of what's happening? Because when I read some shit about Flash on Wikipedia, it was like this dude sees shit before, like, not before it happens, but as it's happening, frame by frame. Like he could be like, oh shit, there's a bullet coming through, like that scene where the bullet comes up through the floor in this movie and Quicksilver like doesn't know that it's happening. It's like, no, like the moment it penetrated, Flash would have been like, oh shit, and he could have just moved. So it's kind of like, why do you ever get hit?
Yeah.
So
and you could kind of see how that would give a character personality disorder because they're moving so much faster than the rest of the world that I guess everything is kind of frustrating to them.
Exactly.
That everybody's just a slow licensing disagreement between Marvel and Fox studio over specifically the word mutant and the introduction to the 2 characters of Pietro and Wanda continue to irk me to this day. To the fact that I don't even think that they need to be in this movie for this movie to work. I think Ultron is formidable enough. And I understand that you want these two, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, there just so that Ultron can be able to bounce ideas off of somebody else in the room. It's a large portion of why he kidnaps Black Widow. Like, I don't have anybody else to talk to, and I need to monologue to somebody. But I honestly don't think that you need to have him in there. You can just have Ultron just materialize into a toaster connected to a Wi-Fi and just threaten to overcook people's bread. Like, why even?
You got to have lackeys, Trey.
Have these two in here. There's just better ways. The movie was already overcrowded. You didn't need to do that. All right, but on to talking about it.
Now I fell back on this point I was thinking of earlier. Okay, so when they show you that artificial intelligence brain, so that's like the brain of the Mind Stone, or what are we looking at exactly when we're looking at Jarvis and that one blue brain?
Oh, all right. So I love how they created Ultron. That whole when Ultron comes online, he starts off with, "What is this? What is this, please?" He even asks nicely to somebody figure out what the fuck is going on right here. But I do appreciate how they managed to bring Ultron to life. What specifically are you asking about the comparison scene between Jarvis and the Mind Stone that is about to become the Ultron program?
Well, I feel like we went over this earlier, but now that I think about it, it seems a little unclear. So that orange globe was Jarvis, and that purple one that was like, that's the artificial intelligence from the Mind Stone. So
yeah, it's sort of like just a 3D layout of what is inside of Loki's scepter. Yeah,
and this thing, like, so
it has characteristics
was
of neurons.
Was it their fuck up by letting it like out while they were having a conversation? Because clearly it recorded everything they said.
Yeah, and you can see Tony talking to Captain America after like Ultron is kind of like laid waste to Avengers Tower, and they're kind of just going over what the fuck happened. Tony says to Bruce, "We were nowhere close to creating an interface. Like this wasn't supposed to happen. We weren't at this level yet." So it made the connection itself, and then it woke up in. Like, yeah, the last thing that Tony Stark did before he joined the party was run some analytics through Jarvis on what this thing was, because they had a montage sequence.
Those are so fun to watch.
Oh, right. And this was easily the most boring montage humanly imaginable.
Bruce doesn't even know what he's doing. Like, I know that like it's kind of like a weather, I don't know, like if you're doing like the Weather Channel or some shit where they're looking at a screen that's nothing, they got to look somewhere else for it. But it's like when there's like these discs that are floating through the air, and like he just kind of scrolls through them with one hand, and he's just
just tapping on a screen and making faces, and they're setting it to like music. Yeah, like, and this is where it ventures into fan fiction territory for me, because you could have done a lot in those 3 days without having Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver be in this movie. Like. For instance, talk to Thor about Loki's scepter and then have him go off.
You can't ask Thor a question. No, this dude, like
why not?
I feel like he's so
technology.
Stupid. He has a certain level of understanding. What his level of understanding is, don't try to understand it more than what I've already told you. Okay, it's like 60% of the information was handed down to him as a child, and he doesn't want anyone else to know anything else beyond that. So it's like, I get that you don't want to just talk to this guy about it, because it's like...
Well, the crux of his personality in this one is him being curious about what happened in his vision. So use his stupidity to elevate the plot. Have him fucking touch Loki's scepter, get inundated with all that goofy shit that Scarlet Witch showed him, and have him fly off to talk to Dr. Selvig that way, I'm sorry, I'm rewriting this fucking movie.
No, that's actually good. I mean, that's a pretty good point, though. Like, he could have used him.
I thought.
Look, all right, I'm trying to take the movie as it is. All right, I was going over what I liked about this movie before. Okay, well,
I was trying to answer one of your questions. But yeah, all right, what are you still confused about with the how Ultron comes to be.
Okay, so it as in the Mind Stone or the brain of the Mind Stone, whatever you want to call it, it makes the connection and brings the Ultron thing to life, which was this protective program created by Tony, and then it just nerfs it and becomes a bad guy. What?
Well, initially Ultron in the comic books is created by Hank Pym, but they mostly ported all of that story into the Iron Man character. So Iron Man is trying to use the Mind Stone to use his Ultron program to, I guess, integrate with the web and use Helen Cho's synthetic body, which will later become the Vision, to act as a peacekeeping artificial intelligence that will solve all the world's ills, Minority Report style, before shit even pops off and becomes a bad thing. So Ultron first comes into contact with Jarvis, and as AI is wont to do, downloads everything he feels he deems necessary to get a grasp on the situation. But the conclusion he comes up with is that
there's too much war to keep peace.
Essentially, it's I'm going to do this argument a disservice, but it's called the paperclip argument for artificial intelligence. If you were to tell a piece of AI to what is the best way to manufacture paperclips? Like, what is the most expedient, the quickest way you can do that? And I guess one of the problems that artificial intelligence theorists come up with is that, well, the AI will eventually say, well, the best way to make paperclips is to get rid of all the humans. I don't know why. I don't know why that is immediately jumped to.
I was actually hook, line, and sinker on this story. I feel like such a jerk. That's so stupid.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That's a butchering of the argument.
Why is that the question?
But that is essentially what Ultron gathers. That the world is broken and it's humans' fault. And if I get rid of all the humans, I will create peace on Earth. Is the traditional argument with all of AI. It's what happened in the Matrix. It's what was going to happen in iRobot.
What happens between the part where Ultron puts the Mind Stone on, the body, the vibranium body, that becomes the Vision? So it's like he gave him the Mind Stone, of which Ultron wasn't using, right?
No, Ultron. All right. So this is way later in the movie when Ultron kidnaps Helen Cho and tries to download his interface into the synthetic body that Helen Cho created. The Avengers intercept it, take it back to Tony Stark's lab, and the plan that Captain America wanted was for them to deactivate it so that Ultron could not get a hold of it. But Tony Stark believes that they can use the Vision as a way to destroy Ultron, to burn him out of the internet, and just generally get rid of them to end this problem. And I guess how they create him is a mixture of the Mind Stone, magic from Thor, and all of the lightning, and all of the integration processes that they use to create Ultron to begin with. That's why Bruce Banner says, "I'm stuck in a time loop. You want to do the exact same thing again?"
Yeah, that's
yeah.
This was literally to me, the biggest problem with the movie was trying to find out, like, what and where exactly did this villain come from? Like, because I agree that I feel like I've watched or heard of somewhere like of a villain that only takes place on like certain planes, like with a Shadow King, right? He doesn't really have a physical form. Like if you're in his realm, like he's a villain, but if you're not, then he's not. So it's like this seemed like a character. Do I have that right?
Well, yeah. Shadow King operates in the ethereal plane, whereas Ultron sort of operates on the internet, largely. Operates on the internet.
So if you kill this body, he'll just go somewhere else on the internet. This is kind of what I was thinking. That character in not the Civil War, but the Winter Soldier. What was that bad? Arnim Zola. That's what I thought he was going to be able to do. And I still feel like, I don't know if I'm wrong, unless the 200 feet of data he's backed up on.
In my fan fiction style rewriting of this movie, I considered using Arnim Zola instead of Baron von Strucker is a more formidable, because they walk through those guys so easily in the beginning, and I do appreciate that line that one henchman says, like, "Can we stop them? They're the Avengers."
Who said attack? The Avengers are here. What else should we do? Just give up everything?
It's like, no surrender. I'm gonna go surrender.
What point are they trying to make in the movie where they go over like where Tony Stark had the mental manipulation about how everyone's gonna die, right? Where they show like Cap, he's all unconscious, or he's dead, but whatever, he's just knocked out on the ground, and they show his shield ripped in half. It's like, what are you saying here? Like, is this, whoever did this is so strong they can tear up what? I want to fast forward now a little bit in time to Black Panther, because one of the first lines of that movie is how vibranium is the strongest substance in the universe.
No,
not the world.
In the world.
No, they say the world universe, Trey.
Oh, really? Okay.
I swear to God, and I don't know how that guy from that OJ trial show, how he knew that it was the strongest in the universe, because it was the spirit of the Black Panther that told him, but... Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of presumptuous. Let's just go with the known world, since they haven't explored the furthest reaches of the universe.
Yeah, my point with these movies. But so yeah, it's like, what point are they trying to say here? Like, even if it is just the strongest metal in the world, it's just like, I mean, is what destroyed it made of vibranium? I guess you could say that, and maybe they were saying, I don't know. I guess he did have a vibranium form later, didn't he? Ultron, yeah.
I don't know, but either way, it was a vision about aliens attacking from space. Maybe they got something better than Cap's shield.
That scene where he's trying to, he's scaring Black Widow, and he destroys himself from behind, right? That's his new form with the vibranium skeleton or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wondering about what they're trying to say behind that whole shield thing, because they make such a big deal about it. They pointed it out so many times in the movie that they were going to go to Wakanda, you know. This is what they got from Wakanda, and they made a frisbee out of it. Yeah. I'm going to make a straight up body.
Yeah, and he only stole like a tube of that stuff, I think. But, oh well, maybe that's all you need.
Okay, what's the deal with... So Claw got branded from being a thief of Wakanda. Is that what they do to you, and they just let you go?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how he escaped, because that was spoilers for the Black Panther movie again. Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out. His whole beef is that, we've been after this guy for 30 years. I want him dead or brought back alive so that I can dead him. You know? Yeah. So I don't know how he escaped the first time. Yeah. Yeah. Also, I appreciated the amount of Black Mirror tech that they used for Wakanda. But back to this movie. Something I do want to say about Wanda's visions, especially for Tony Stark. This is the intro of the movie where there's an enhanced in the field and Quicksilver's running around tripping people up. Wanda's character introduction is Captain America's walking up a flight of stairs to capture Baron von Strucker. And Wanda comes in and pushes him back down the stairs
and closes the doors.
Away.
It looks like such a horror movie.
Literally, what was that? And then he just gets up and you know, takes Strucker out.
This one, I don't know what she does.
Yeah, it was strange. Yeah, I felt like they were just juggling so many parts.
It was in the scene where they fight again with the Avengers, where they're talking about like, oh, you guys can still basically lay your weapons down and come back with us and walk away. And then Wanda goes, oh no, we will walk away. Like
good Fox Russian
there's
accent.
Like, she is taking charge of like three people's minds at the same time. Like the way they're just flying through the scenes, it's like she goes through Cap, and then it's just like the next scene, it's just like she's right behind Black Widow, and it's like the next scene, like she's taking care of the Hulk, and it's like, God damn, she's so fast. Or she's, what's his name, just holding her by the back of her head.
Just like carrying her around.
Like, stay still.
It was so silly. Oh, yeah. And, you know, it's what caused Joss Whedon to just no more, never again. Not working on any more projects. You want me to set up so much stuff, I just can't.
Well, but what are you asking for from the Avengers 2 movie?
The MCU has been very meticulous about doing well by the characters that they introduce. They introduce them with respect. They often give them their own movie and take care to tell the plot in a way that makes sense for the audience. What you're doing here is introducing the Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Vision, and Ultron, in addition to the 6 additional Avengers in the wake of Captain America's Winter Soldier, where S.H.I.E.L.D. is no longer a thing. Like, that's a lot of things to have to juggle right away, and to also backtrack on, oh shit, we need to start cranking out some Infinity Stones because Infinity War is around the corner. Yeah. So to retroactively make Loki's scepter a huge deal again, while getting rid of additional Hydra, while dealing with the fallout of where the fuck is Nick Fury, is just way too much to put into a movie. And Ultron is ultimately a good villain that is incredibly underserved by being third, fourth fiddle in his own movie, in his own title card sequence. I really hope that they introduce him again in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, because he had a great run in the comic books under
Ultron?
Annihilation Quant. Yeah. He's the main catalyst for a huge arc in the comic books called Annihilation Conquest.
Oh.
Where are you familiar with the Phalanx at all?
In X-Men, yeah.
Yeah, that techno-organic virus, the thing that Cable's arm is made of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when the Avengers destroy Ultron in the comic, his consciousness, or whatever he is left drifting around in space until he comes across the techno-organic race, the Phalanx, who are looking for I guess like a wayward father figure of some kind, and that's when they run into Ultron. And Ultron's like, "I'm your guy. I will
know what else
you
I'm doing.
Conquer the known universe." And that was a great little comic series that incorporated all of Guardians of the Galaxy, the Nova Corps. Just shit went bonkers. So hopefully they can bring Ultron back in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, it's cool. Yeah. It's cool to see like some of these dope ass villains return. You know, like I myself, as much as I like Doctor Strange, and I do enjoy how they ended the movie. Not to spoil it too much, but they had a dope ass villain from an alternate dimension in there, and the way they got rid of him was highly entertaining. But I really wanted to see what's his name, Dormammu, do some fucking damage. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That dude is scary as fuck, and it's like, we're gonna show him in a Marvel movie, and it's like, oh, are you fucking serious? It's like Thanos. It's something you build up to, and it's like, oh my god, dope as fuck. Another apocalyptic character.
Mm-hmm. And he's not dead. Like he's the one most likely to come back. Hopefully Thanos finds a way to use him. I don't know.
Silver Surfer, maybe maybe I'm just pointing at things and saying, oh, I like this in this movie just because I noticed it. You know, they showed Hulk at the end, kind of realizing, you know, we were talking about how this movie is definitely setting up for the Civil War. Well, even though Hulk doesn't know about that, dude, this entire movie is just like, did I kill anyone? Is anyone dead? Did I wreck anything?
Yeah, this is sort of a direct response to the criticism that Man of Steel got, and that there was huge collateral damage that nobody, like Superman, didn't really pay attention to. Like thousands of people died in Metropolis, and Superman wasn't really saving anybody or worried about saving people. So a lot of lip service went into making sure that everybody was off the Sokovia, load up the helicarrier, no man left behind, all that stuff. So yeah, this was Avengers' response to Man of Steel.
It kind of goes in the same direction of, now I have on not good authority. I have this is information I got from a conversation, not from a website, but someone was telling me that 2 characters, one of whom is Hulk. They said it was Hulk and Namor. And they said these characters are not necessarily owned by the Disney or Marvel
they're owned
Corporation.
By Paramount?
Universal?
Not New Line Cinema. No, Universal. Okay, yes. Universal owns the Submariner and Hulk.
So they don't, as far as MCU goes, they're not trying to make a Hulk movie?
And yeah, they can't. It's kind of like how they have Spider-Man with Sony, where Sony makes the money off of Spider-Man Homecoming, but the MCU is now allowed to use that iteration of Spider-Man that they created in future MCU movies.
Which is kind of interesting, which is kind of good in a way, because
No, that's awful.
No,
Marvel should have the rights to all the characters.
Okay, you're right. You are very right. However, the second movie we started podcasting on, we really didn't like. The Incredible Hulk was not good.
Yeah.
Not good. So, I mean, the fact that he's not getting his own films is fine by me. I do kind of wish I wanted to see more of how he got to the whole Planet Hulk thing, but it made sense when they made the jump from there to Planet Hulk, or what was that movie called? Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok.
Where it was like, this guy sees that he's nothing but trouble. He can't just give into this fucking relationship with Black Widow. You're going to keep up this facade? I guess Hulk is more human than I thought. I never really thought about, like, could he just get his, like, is he open to easy mental manipulation? Seems like he is. And that makes him a very destructive force. And then the fact that he just forgets who his teammates are halfway through. It's like, this dude he may not be more bad than good, but it's very even and very destructive. So,
well, you're to understand that there's the war going on inside of him between the personality of Banner and the personality of the Hulk. Or even they don't do it too much, but sometimes aspects of the Hulk flare up inside of Banner's character when he gets angry, and like you'll see like a tinge of green flow through his veins or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah. And in the comic books, the way they blasted off Hulk into space was the Illuminati got together and like agreed to put him on a rocket and send him out of the stratosphere and into destinations unknown is how he ended up on Sakaar.
So it's somewhat similar.
Same difference. Mm-hmm.
And it's in some way. You remember that scene with Stanley? We got to do the drop. You remember? I thought it was really funny where it's like,
where was it this time? Oh, Excelsior.
Yeah, they were on there doing their revels, and it was Thor and Cap, and he gives him like a shot of that drink, and I was thinking, why does he give it to Cap? But I was like, nah, Cap's not mortal. Good call. He's not really mortal. Go ahead and give him a sip. Don't give it to Tony. Give it to Cap, and maybe Hulk, but not Bruce. And then he gave it to Stan Lee, and Stan Lee's just like unconscious, just
what
muttering.
did he say? Something about how he was a nom and he can handle it, or Mortal Man wasn't meant to be on the gates or Fallujah or something.
It's aged for 10,000 years or something. It's like, this is not meant for mortal man. That was pretty funny.
Those are the best parts of this movie, where Joss Whedon is allowed to write great dialogue for characters just sitting in a circle trying to lift up Thor's hammer. You know, like that.
That was
where
good.
This movie is the best.
Yeah, and like so now we see two characters, one who can. I don't understand. Like, as AI, it doesn't have a conscience, or what, or does it pick up the matter around the hammer and just it looks like it's holding the hammer? How does Vision just pick it up? And it looks like in the future, maybe Captain America might be able to hold this hammer.
Well, he who is worthy shall be able to wield Thor's hammer. And the Vision, I think, is best described in the right before the end of the movie, where Tony and Captain are talking about how an elevator can lift the hammer. The Vision is essentially like setting the hammer on an elevator. Yeah.
That was pretty good. So what did you like that line that let Claw know that Ultron was made by Stark, where he's like, you know what I always say, keep your friends rich and your enemies rich, and then find out which is which.
Yeah.
I liked it too. I had to stop and think about it. Is he saying which is rich or which is rich? And he's essentially just saying, like, if money was no problem, are we still friends? Of course not. I don't need you anymore.
And I did appreciate how that was a good showing of Ultron's daddy issues, essentially. And the comic books, that's usually relegated to a lot of Ultron is just trying to get revenge on Hank Pym, and in this movie, Tony Stark. He hates you the most. Yeah. Let's take a break and see what else there is to say about this movie before wrapping this show pony up. All right, we're back. I wanted to revisit that paperclip argument that I posed because I butchered it, and it's kind of integral to Ultron's price. So I went and checked out the Wikipedia, and it's a Swedish philosopher named Nick Bostrom in 2003. So check this out. So the scenario describes an advanced artificial intelligence tasked with manufacturing paper clips, and that if such a machine were programmed to create paper clips and not really value human life, then given its power to optimize its goal, it would turn the entire universe, including human beings, into either paper clips or machines designed to manufacture paper clips. It would create space in the world to house all these paper clips because it is inherently goal oriented, because it wasn't programmed with the ability to value human life. That's kind of what Ultron is. It
Interesting.
the goal, not the ability.
Just efficiency. 100%. Yeah. That makes sense.
There we go.
So he's definitely not
a little bit better.
He was one of the reasons, like, initially when I thought, when I saw this movie, I was like, I liked it, but I thought Avengers 2 could have been better by adding, I was really the villain. I couldn't really get over what the fuck was happening with the villain. And, because I feel like everything else, like, I mean, even if it doesn't make sense, I know what they're saying by putting a lot of this information in the film. Maybe not everything, but, I mean, it was definitely... Even the funny moments weren't so goofy, right? When they were funny, they were funny. Like when Don Cheadle was doing that bit about dropping the tank at his boss's feet.
Boom.
You're
looking for this.
Every scene that he was talking about, he was playing it off really well. Like when it worked, it was successful. He was really in agreement with it. Like it was funny, and then it was what the hell's the point I'm trying to say? Oh, it's not like Thor Ragnarok was kind of doing it goofy. Like that scene that I liked and then didn't like in the same sitting where in the beginning where he's dangling from the chain talking to Surtur.
Mm-hmm.
Like where he's spinning and he's like, I can't see you anymore. It's it's hilarious. And then they do it again 10 seconds later. And it's like, oh,
yeah.
Why'd you guys have to ruin them? And it's not like that. It's like these scenes are just funny for what they are. Cap being a fucking stickler for not using cuss words and them giving him shit the whole movie about it. Dude, that's awesome. I like that. This is what keeps me entertained with the movie.
Yeah, and it illustrates how just generally easy saving the world is to these people.
Especially without the help of Wakanda. Fuck faces.
Yeah, you got to give them all something to do.
But God, we were talking about how this throws you to, this just is a nice, easy, softball into whatever I'm trying to say here, to the Civil War movement. And it's kind of that whole part where the train kind of broke past the stopping barrier and just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I don't know how it kept going for that long. How long could it go before it actually stopped? Probably, I think a couple 100 feet, 500 feet at the most. How far could, it's not running on anything anymore. It's if someone shot out the tires, how long could it go before it just stopped? It's I don't know, a couple 100 feet. Not far, but it went on for so long. And they looked at Wanda can you stop it? It's on a never ending rampage. It's off the rails. How much farther can it go? The reason for the rails is so it can move. If you remove the rails, how much farther can it go?
And don't ask me about inertia. I'm not sure how that works.
But there was a lot of these epic scenes in the movie, man. It was dope as hell. The fight with fucking Veronica and Tony versus...
Oh, yeah, we got to see the Hulkbuster armor for the first time.
Jesus Christ, that was awesome. And it's even with all this armor on, he's still scared shitless of fucking Hulk.
Yeah, of Tony's dialogue while that was happening was pretty legit. Pretty legit. And
after getting his ass
this is the first time that they put a GoPro on the Hulk. I like that reverse shot of his face as he's rampaging through the city in Africa. Yeah, it was gnarly. It was gnarly.
Oh yeah, right. That made a lot of sense because it's this is the horror.
3,000 virtual effects scenes, more than any other Marvel movie. I don't know if it's more than any movie in history, but it's pretty bananas. And honestly, the CGI looked pretty clean in this. There were a few moments, but otherwise, I appreciated the CGI models for people much more so than in Black Panther. I thought everything with the Vision looked pretty gnarly. And in fact, one of my favorite, I guess, like poster shots, hero shots, for any movie, is when Thor, Iron Man, and Vision are shooting a beam at Ultron. Like that just looks incredible.
Can you get your blackface back on screen?
Sorry. Sorry. Am I just way up in there?
This was you for like a long time. But yeah, that scene is pretty awesome. It kind of made me think, I'm like, who's supplying most of the power here? Because we got the Mind Stone, Thor, and then Tony. I'm just like, Tony, what are you doing?
Whatever it did, it fucked up vibranium. So there you go.
Well, yeah, so that's another point I have. So isn't the Mind Stone stronger than vibranium?
Well, it's an odd thing to compare. The combined might of those three was enough to put a dent into vibranium. How do you feel about the Vision as a character going forward? He's one of the only holdovers other than Scarlet Witch, and I think we've railed against Scarlet Witch enough.
I feel like we just have to...
how do you feel about both of them moving forward?
Well, we just have to adjust with the fact that they're here now. And it's like, I mean, as far as they can supply a shit ton of value. I see what your issue is. It's like they just threw them in here, and basically what I'm saying now is you have to accept that they're here now. But the fact that they are is like the Avengers just got twice as good, or at least as far as not exactly at the moment, because apparently Vision doesn't know how to use his powers. That's why he's in training mode. But Scarlet Witch doesn't either. And they need rigorous amount of fucking danger room training before they get back out on there on the field until they realize that she's the nuke. There is no more code green. We have code Scarlet fucking Witch. Or she should be on either the front end or the tail end. I feel like, I don't know. She's not, well, if she's in control, we don't need her to bring up the rear. That's why we have Hulk. That's why Hulk was legit as a rear and not a front runner, I suppose.
You sound like you're designing a basketball team.
Well, because they're a team, and just like the X-Men, they have to balance it out. If they lose a telepath, guess what? They need to recruit for telepaths. Can't just not have a telepath on the team. What the fuck? Are we gonna do? Muscle our way through everything?
It's posted on ZipRecruiter. Need a telepath?
Well, but like, try to get back on screen, bro. But no, it's like now. Once they realize how to use their powers, the Avengers, like before they were 5 characters and 2 of them were like human. Like even with the Hulk gone, which is great because we don't need this uncontrollable monster to keep pushing all these stupid rules on. Oh, we need to have everybody register because look at the damage they cause. Once they see that it's mostly
to it as a code green every time they needed it. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, fast forward to a couple of movies. Civil War. I was like, yo, you got the Vision on your team? That's it. Scarlet Witch my ass. She doesn't even know how to use her fucking powers. How does any team lose to the Vision team? It's like that's what I like about him being on the team. You asked the question, I'm answering it. Check it out.
I mean, fast forward to that fight. That incredibly broken.
What are you talking about?
He can alter his density. He can shoot a projectile. But he's not, completely
pick up
unstoppable.
Thor's hammer. He has the Mind Stone, which is an Infinity Stone, which they keep talking about as somehow the strongest one. Somehow, I'm not sure the extent of its powers.
It allows for his AI to be conscious.
Shouldn't he be able to touch people on the chest and just control them?
I don't think so.
That's what the Scepter did.
I don't think that's how that works. I mean, yeah, that's how the Scepter works. Maybe we haven't seen him do that. He seems,
his only weakness is the Scarlet Witch, because his dick gets his whatever vibranium dick gets hard every time. Is he made of Is that how they made that? I don't understand.
Helen chose synthetic suit. I think there's. I'm not sure if she had access to vibranium. I don't think she did.
Well, then what was the point of him putting his body in that body?
Oh, because it's just way better. It's made of something synthetic that just Ultron coveted it.
I thought what they used on Clint was just like it was just your body reproducing itself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is this made of exactly? What is Vision made of?
Merging with his molecules or whatnot. I don't really know what Dr. Cho was capable of, but she created some manner of synthetic skin that allowed for Ultron's body to be hosted in it. Yeah. A geneticist of sorts.
Okay. Well, either way, on the Civil War team, you also had Tony Stark on that side. Spider-Man, like, do I need to name anybody else? Fuck the Ant-Man. That dude can go to hell. Spider-Man, Tony Stark, and Vision. That's
well.
Okay.
I mean, aside from throwing down, like it.
Oh, Black Panther.
Yeah, but Vision and Scarlet Witch in the comics have a ongoing relationship. In fact, they have children together, and they're a bit displaced from time. But there's all kinds of interesting stories that you can take those two characters in.
Trey, when are we going to see Reed Richards show up in one of these goddamn MCU movies?
They're working on it. They're working on licensing rights. Fantastic Four might be the next one they reboot. I'm waiting for them to use Cable and Deadpool to drag certain characters from the X-Men over, but otherwise I think Fantastic Four will be the first thing they work on. God damn it, we're doing Ant-Man next. So yeah, we had two good movies in Guardians of the Galaxy and Civil War, and now we're doing Age of Ultron, which let's wrap it up. I'm about done. We'll do feelings on Age of Ultron. It's one of my least favorites. I feel like they juggled too many balls. I'm not excited to go into Ant-Man either. I thought it was a step off, but I think I like it more than you do. We'll see next time we get to Ant-Man. But as far as this movie goes, introduced too many characters. Still haven't really explained Scarlet Witch. I'm totally on board with the Vision. I love Paul Bettany's melty voice. Yeah, it's nice to have him be in the credits other than just the disembodied voice. But otherwise, yeah, I thought that they could have done so much more with Ultron, who's a genuinely cool character in the comic books. But it did push the plot forward. You got the foreshadowing for Ragnarok. You teased Thanos again in the end credit sequence for no real reason.
That was cool.
It made it seem like he was watching the whole thing unfold from like some TV monitor in space. Like, all right, I'll do it myself. Like that was just kind of weird.
True. That's the real glove, though, right? Which we're gonna see in Thor Ragnarok. Fucking what's his name? Odin has like a fake of the gauntlet.
Yeah. That doesn't really address that, but Hela pushing it over and saying fake.
Can't wait to get to that movie. Oh, it goes on sale, I think, March 6th. I want to buy it if it's like on sale, like not if it's just for sale, because fuck that, it's like $30. Sorry, right, Thor, don't have that kind of money, dog.
Sadness, but ultimately one of my least favorite Marvel movies. Jabril, in summation, how do you feel about this film?
Oh man, you're tearing it down, dude. This was better than Iron Man 3.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
Oh, goddamn.
Maybe not.
It fulfills a lot of the needs of the typical Marvel comic fanboy, I suppose. Definitely there was a lot not making sense to me, but there was a lot of eye candy shown, and yeah, they did have a lot to juggle, but I liked it. Another Avengers movie down. We got to see some uncontrollable characters. Hulk, I'm kind of glad that he's gone now. Like, because I feel like he is a lot of the cause of this whole Civil War shit, even though it's not just him. Like, there's plenty of movies where Captain America is just fucking up all by himself and destroying all the concrete around him, but it's like not like the Hulk though. Yeah. And then it's like he's scary enough on the Avengers when it's like when he's not talking to Natasha, because now apparently they're just like I wanted to point something out earlier. I thought it was kind of
we didn't
funny.
Really talk about the
lullaby. So what?
Not even the lullaby, but the go on.
Yeah, just hear me out here. What if that lullaby had to be given by like Thor?
Well, yeah, I mean, you get to see it in
hey, big guy, sun's getting real low. just puts his hand up. Why is it Natasha that has to do it? Is it because she's a chick? Is it because they're in love? Could any member of the Avengers have done it? What if Clint had to do it?
Yeah, good point, I guess. And it does illustrate the problem with having the Hulk on the team to begin with. So yeah, it's an issue. We didn't touch really on the farm scene with Hawkeye, trying to make him a relevant person, but the entire dynamic between Black Widow and specifically Bruce Banner, and how she says in the party, all my friends are fighters, and here's a guy who doesn't really want to get into a fight because he knows he'll win, and that just gets Black Widow's blood flowing. She likes that he's a nebbish nerdling.
Well, I think she also likes the fact of dropping off the radar, because it's like if you just have a lover that you're going to be on the run with, and you know that he can physically protect you, it's like, if you could pull this off, you probably just run from the government anyway. You're not going to be found, because I guess her big thing is, I need to stay on the Avengers because I still got red on my ledger, apparently. Never going to go away. No matter how many times I risk my human life to prove on screen, we didn't go over any of the human characters. She's still a badass, and probably the coolest part about Clint was the fact that he was the only one who didn't let Scarlet Witch fuck with his head.
Yeah, and I do like that that little talk that he gave her in
Go out there.
Sokovia.
You're an Avenger. Stay in here. I'll have your brother come get you.
All right. None of this makes any sense.
Did you notice?
Arrow.
Did you notice at the
flying.
end when when Clint showed the picture of his baby with the shirt on that his middle name is Pietro?
I don't remember that. What happened?
It was like Clint, I guess, showed maybe a picture to Scarlet Witch of like, he just said, hey, say hi to Aunt Natalie, right? He's like, oh, hey, and she goes, fat, whatever the word she said fat for. I guess the baby's fat. Baby had a picture of the name of him on it. It was whatever the first name was, middle name, Pietro, last name, Barton, or whatever his last name is, right? What I'm saying is Clint had such a great relationship with him. He named his kid something Pietro Barton.
Oh wow, I didn't know that was a thing at all.
That's what happened. He hated him all the way up until the last moment of the movie where he saved him, because Clint decided to save that kid. Yeah, fuck that, dude. I don't know, man. Hawkeye, like his power, or whatever you want to call it, his ability to never miss, which is, it's useful, but that's more than one person has to have that ability, Bullseye. But like, you were Quicksilver, like, I don't know, man. I might go with Quicksilver on this one.
It's more important.
Quicksilver, he should be accurate because he's so fast. How is he not accurate? You know, he should get to any point before someone else. So you shouldn't have to worry about, did you hit the right target? He's not shooting bow and arrows. He's going to run up to you and punch you in the face. 100% accuracy.
Well, they've repurposed him as Hawkeye as the backbone of the team. So it's a good role for him going forward. I'm just so bleh.
Going forward,
this
it
movie.
seems like he's not an Avenger anymore, right?
Oh, yeah, in Civil War he tried to retire, but came back when his friends were in peril.
Well, he had a conversation with this girl right before the end of the last mission. I thought that was literally them speaking in code saying, this is my last Avengers mission. He goes, when I get back, I'm going to fix the patio. And she's like, you'll just find something else. And he's like, no, it's my last one. Seemed like that's what he meant.
Sure.
Metaphor. She talked to him earlier about how they're having a third kid and she doesn't want to be outnumbered, or she doesn't want to be 3-1. Just fuck that life. That's your fault, lady. I'm attacking her now. You have 3 kids individually. They're not twins or triplets. It's not all at once. That's your fault. Stop having kids. I'm going to work.
All right. On that note, let's call it. Jabril, give me the links.
Give me the links. You can find us at Infinity Warmup on Twitter, infinitywarmup at Gmail. You can find me. I got the Brillo Vision at YouTube. I'm trying to change my name to Brill Vision on there. There's already a Brillo Vision on there. It's some weird Mexican guy, and I think I already have more subscribers than him. Which isn't saying much about me, but more about him. But yeah, what else are we at? Twitter and Facebook, Infinity Warmup. We're coming out next with the Ant-Man, and that'll complete phase 2.
All right, take care, everybody.
All
Bye.
right.
Two thumbs. I'm driving with my knees. All right. I don't got time to pay attention to your left and right. Like watching porn without the sex.
Superhero crossovers.
You just like dab them in his blood, threw them on the table.
Look what you did.
Where they at? Getting ready.
His plan was to arm the ghetto.